Good morning. All right, we got cats today because I'm wearing some really terrible clothing, but I ran out of clothes, so I did laundry all day yesterday, and I was going to do more this morning, but I don't have any more room. Let's take a look at this. This is crazy. I don't have any more room to hang anything up. That line over there is no go. It's just strung over there because I need something to hold up that one, but I don't have any more space to do any more laundry, so I'm done with it. So I got some coffee in my favorite coffee mug, and I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a while. Not that I haven't done it for a while on the channel, I haven't done it for a while, period. I'm going to make a breakfast that is very similar to the weekend breakfasts that we used to have when I was a kid. And of course, this starts with potatoes. And I happen to have some. It's weird. Before I started this video, I had to make sure I had all the ingredients. That's just ridiculous. This was staples. Potatoes, eggs, bread, breakfast meat, sausage or bacon, whatever it would be. These were all staples when I was growing up. Now it's impossible to afford them. But we're going to start by cutting some potatoes and peeling them because my mom honestly always used to peel potatoes. It was very, very rare for her to leave the skins on. She didn't like them, and this was how her mother did it when she was growing up. So this is how we did it when I was a kid. I saw something to do with those skins last night, and if I ever get some potatoes where the skins aren't green, I'll show that to you because it was really cool. So we just cut these potatoes. My mom was actually better at cutting potatoes than I am. She could actually go from one end of the potato to the other and slice them all. And somehow not slice herself. I am not that good. Oh, that was a little much. I actually remember when they came out with a, almost like a PSA that, gosh, what did it say? It said that you don't have to peel your potatoes and like 90% of the nutrients are in the skin. It was only at that point that I ever saw an unpeeled potato. So there's an interesting tidbit for you. But since 90% of the time, this is how we did the potatoes, this is how I'm doing the potatoes. All right, so there's the potatoes. Let me clean this up, and I'll be back. All right, the skillet is on the stove, and I am ready to add the oil. And some of you are going to be screaming, "No, no, not that! It's terrible for you! No!" This is the oil that we used when I was a kid, and I'm going to tell you, it was vegetable oil. That's what we used. So this is what I'm going to put in the skillet, and it happens to be what I have. Now, I also have a little bit of butter in the refrigerator, but we're going to use that later. So, let's pour some oil in the skillet. Yep, there's the oil, folks. And you can scream and tell me it's terrible, and you're right, but we didn't know that in the 80s. This was touted as being healthier because it's from vegetables. Technically, it is not from vegetables. It is from vegetable seeds. And then, you just need to think about that for a minute. How much oil could possibly be in one seed? Ugh. But anyway, oops. All right, so we're going to let this oil heat up. And I'm going to put these potatoes in there. That oil is hot. The skillet was hot. So we're going to put some potatoes in there. They're in this bowl, so let's put them in this oil. There you go. Potatoes in the oil. Now, there's one stuck in there. And I'm going to get the onions out of the freezer. Now the difference here is that my onions I chop up ahead of time. I put them in a bag and I freeze them. And these are the onions I'm using. So my onions are frozen, but they were fresh. Mom would have cut them up that day. Or had one of us do it. So we're going to pour some onions on top of these potatoes. We actually used to put onions in with our bacon too. My family really loves their onions, and we still do. So let's put some onions in here. Quite a few, because onions are great. So there we go. Onions. Alright, so we need to turn the potatoes. We're kind of mix them up in the skillet so that they're a little, oops. They're already getting stuck on the bottom. So there's the potatoes. Make sure they're doing all right. Okay, so that's correct. And I need some salt and pepper. It's about the only meal that I ever saw my mom put any spices in. There's the pepper. And here's a little salt. And I'm going to stir these around again because the spatula was in the way for half of these. Alright, so I'm going to let those cook and I'll be back. Alright, I am back and it is time for me to put in some breakfast meat. This is sausage that I scrambled up a bit back and then froze. Now I will say that the only exception to that vegetable oil that I put in the skillet would be bacon grease. And in that case, my mom would have fried up a pound of bacon, not 12 ounces, a freaking pound. Freaking loser bacon company shorting everybody on bacon. But anyway, she would fry up a pound of bacon, take the bacon out, and then fry the potatoes and anything else she was going to make in the bacon grease. But I'm going to put some sausage in here because I don't have any bacon right now. I haven't seen any bacon sales in a long time either. So there's something. I'm going to put some sausage in here. Yep, that should be plenty. And sausage wasn't rare either, because if we didn't have bacon, sometimes we would have sausage or sausage links, and we would have that in the morning. So this isn't incorrect, it's just you wouldn't have found my mom putting the sausage in the potatoes, but I'm going to do it because that's kind of what I have. Now, I'm going to spin you around. Alright, I turned you around. I had to wash a couple bowls because now it is time to get the eggs ready. And you might be wondering, Stacy, you got to get the eggs ready? Well, yeah, and this isn't something my mom had to do. She could just take the eggs out of the refrigerator, crack them, and that's good. Me, on the other hand, since I get my eggs from the food pantry, I have to take them out of the refrigerator, and however many I want 2 this morning because 1 egg will not adequately show what I want to show you. So there we go. Actually, these look real good. I'll move the container here in a minute so you can see the eggs. And My mama did not have to do this, but I sure do. Because I'm telling you, if you can't afford food, you can't afford the medical bill for food poisoning either. So let's come over here and look at these eggs. Well, all right, I think they're okay. They're not floating, but they're starting to tip up. All right, so we're gonna make some eggs. I almost think these were left over from a couple weeks ago because they were out. This was the last dozen eggs that they had. And the eggs around here, if you haven't watched any of the previous videos, they are between $6.50 and $13. The $6.50 is the generic Dollar General eggs, and you get a dozen with that. My local grocery is selling a dozen eggs for $8 or a dozen and a half for $13. So that's eggs around here. So that's part of the reason I had to check and make sure that I had all the ingredients to make a breakfast very similar to the one that I used to eat when I was a kid. And this is not the standard breakfast. This is the special weekend breakfast. The standard breakfast was toast or cereal. 2 pieces of toast or a bowl of cereal. If we were lucky, Mom would get up and make us some buttery scrambled eggs, and we would have some buttery scrambled eggs with our toast. But that was so rare. We might have gotten that, once a year. So anyway, I'm going to crack these eggs. This is why, it's just, the food prices are just stupid. Crack the egg on the skillet because it'll be easier. I end up having to bang the hell out of it on these bowls. And what I do, because really, I am paranoid about bad food. So you still want to look at it, smell it, make sure it's good. And that one is fine, so I'm going to put it in the real bowl and get the other one. That's right, folks. I crack them one at a time, look at them in one bowl, and then put them in the final bowl. So I'm going to crack this one and see if it's any good. Yep, looks good to me. And then I will show you these eggs. Doesn't smell. Looks fine. The whites are a little runny, and that happens as the eggs get older. Had to wash a fork. It's not that the forks aren't clean, it's that I wash them after I use them and before. So here's my fork. I'm going to put it in the bowl. I'm going to show you this. So there's my 2 eggs from the food pantry. And I'm going to get some milk because scrambled eggs came with a splash of milk. And my mom would make 2 eggs a person at a minimum. So she might crack, if it was just the 4 of us, Mom and my siblings, she'd crack 8 eggs. If it was like all 5 of us, if Dad was home, she'd probably do the whole dozen into the bowl. But there it is. And I'm going to mix these up. I very, very, very rarely have eggs. But when I do, I'm going to show you how I eat them. Now, that's all mixed up. Mostly I'll probably do a little more mixing right before I put it in the pan. But there's my 2 eggs and a splash of milk. And I'll set those aside. I've got to wash a few dishes, so I'll be back. The potatoes are still cooking. Let's take a look at those before I start washing dishes. So here's the potatoes and sausage. They're looking real, real good. And they're looking real, real greasy, too. I need to scrape this skillet. It's kind of being awful. All right, so there they are. I'm really just kind of waiting on a few of them to crisp up. But I'm going to do some dishes, and I'll be back. All right, I did some dishes. The toaster oven tray is right there. I'm going to get some toast. And this is actually pretty accurate. I have white bread, so that's mostly what we ate when I was a kid, was white bread. I don't know if we ever had wheat bread. Maybe once or twice. But I'm going to put 2 pieces of toast on this. When I was a kid, my mom must have got a bonus check or something, because we had the fancy 4-slice toaster that mounted under the cabinet. It was cool. We had that for, I think it was still under the cabinet when my dad sold the house in like 2017. I think it was. I mean, I know it was still there in 2010. Potatoes are done. And I'm going to put some paper towels down for the grease, because when you do potatoes like this, they're very, 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 very greasy. But they're also very, 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 very tasty. So I'm going to put these on these paper towels. And again, this sausage would have been either in links or as patties. And if we had biscuits, like, let's say Mom splurged and got some Pillsbury biscuits, which were only about a $1.50 a roll for the grands, by the way, and you could get 4 of the itty bitty biscuits in those packages. You could get 4 of those, or 1 pack of 4 for like $2 when we were doing it. There was none of this buy a roll of biscuits for $3.50 or $4. Screw that. And I just poured the grease into a mason jar. Let me show you my mason jars. The grease went into that mason jar. I thought at one point I'd learn canning, but it hasn't happened. That is red pepper flakes. I need to clean those up, but I spilled the red pepper. It was tragic. The red pepper met a tragic end. Or some of it did anyway. Alright, so I'm going to start the eggs, and the eggs get butter. This is margarine. I'm going to tell you, when I was growing up, we used country crock, not this imperial garbage. But since this is what I have, this is what I'm putting in the skillet. And here's the thing, folks. My mom, who was poor, could afford country crock margarine, but I have to get imperial from the food pantry. Tell me things have gotten better. The economy's booming. Yeah, my ass it is. I think it will be soon, but right now we're still struggling through. So I'm going to melt this butter, and as soon as it's melted, we'll put in the eggs. Should have left the butter out. I need it for my toast. Okay, it's time to put the eggs in, so let's dump these in. There they are. All right, I'm going to put some pepper on these eggs. I don't think my mom ever put pepper on the eggs. I think she just let them flavor with just the butter or margarine. So let's stir that around. All right, we'll let that cook for a minute. The bread toast is done, so let's go do that. All right, so let's butter this toast. I had to wash a knife and stir up the eggs. They're looking real good. What we want to do is put a couple bits of this on there and put the other piece on top. The combined heat will melt that. And if it doesn't, I'll stick it back in the toaster oven. Right, let's go back to the eggs. They are almost done. So here's my eggs. And they're almost done. Some of you might consider them done at this point. I like my eggs pretty well done, but they're going to finish cooking like that, so I'm going to turn off the fire. Alright, so let's get the potatoes on the plate. Potatoes and sausage. There we go. A lot of the grease went onto the paper towel. Okay, and we got the toast. Alright, here is the toast. I had to ditch the cat apron. I realized there was paper all over it. Something happened with one of my loads of laundry and like a paper towel got in it. So I don't know how that happened, but it did. So let's get the eggs, and the eggs look great because we cooked them in not only the margarine, but everything else in the skillet, plus a little pepper. So there's the delicious eggs. So I got my fork, and well, that didn't quite do what I wanted it to do. But, well, it is soft. It just didn't melt well. Alright, so there's that piece of toast. And here's this piece of toast. And you put the extra butter on the eggs. Any extra toast butter goes on the eggs. And no breakfast is complete without ketchup. I used to eat a ton of ketchup, but I also used to have more items that you could eat ketchup with. Another strange thing of this economy, I can't afford the things that you can put ketchup on. But anyway, let's test this. Let's start with the buttery eggs. Yep, those are good. And the potatoes and sausage. Excellent. And the toast is also pretty good. All right. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.